Hello everybody, and welcome to another Farming Simulator 25 map guide. Today we're going to be taking a look at Backroads County 4X. But before that, this video is brought to you by Claire Barton and Brimlick. Thank you for being farm barons. So the Backroads County 4X map can be found at the farmsimgame.com website, and I will have a link to that down in the description below. Since this map is 4X, and is not hosted at the main Giants mod hub, this is going to be a PC only map. Now let me read you the brief description. Welcome to Backroads County 4X, a fictional 4X map based out of nowhere. There are 13 areas of land that you can build your own dream farm on. This map is great for multiplayer. Now, while the map download size is 692 megabytes, there are 4 required mods. Once we factor in those 4 required mods, we're looking at a total download size of 724 megabytes. Those 4 required mods are over at the main Giants mod hub, and they are the Cow Barn XL, Steel Shed, Steel Machine and Bale Storage, and Open Shed. The way the map has been coded, you don't need to go look those up. When you do try to load the map for the very first time, it will prompt you if you don't have those mods, and we'll go ahead and automatically download those, and then you'll be able to start this up and you'll see exactly what we see here. Let's go ahead and fire up the PDA and take a look at this. So the original Backroads County goes back a few game versions and was a standard size map. We can kind of get a little bit of a hint to the original map by basically looking here at the PDA. You can see that we've got this area here that I'm kind of outlining with the cursor. That was basically the original map. And then we have the 4X aspect is this entirety all the way around. So the original map is here in the heart of its new 4X variant. This was also available as a 4X variant in Farm Sim 22. With respect to the crops, we have all of our standard FS25 crops available to us on this map. And if we take a look at our farmland, we start out by owning a starting farm here in the northwest region. It's going to include farmland ID 62, which we can buy for $213,570, as well as farmland ID 143 and farmland ID 103. Now, as the description said, there are several buyable plots of land scattered around. I don't know if I identified all 13, but I did identify quite a few, and let's go ahead and take a look at those now. We have one of the original farms on the original Backroads County, farmland ID 107. It can be bought for $71,360. We also have one at farmland ID 56. That can be bought for $115,490. We have one at farmland ID 122. That can be bought for $68,260. Farmland ID 50 for $106,260. We have farmland ID 121 and 44. They kind of split this open area, so I'm going to kind of combine those. Farmland ID 121 is going to be $236,000. Meanwhile, farmland 44 is $265,000. We also have one at farmland ID 18. That's going to be here kind of in the middle of the map for $88,740. We have one at farmland ID 10. And that's going to be right here. Again, this was a farm on the original Backroads County. They can buy that for $46,160. Farmland ID 95 for $219,000. Farmland ID 30 for $215,840. Farmland ID 100 for $296,730. Farmland ID 132 for $57,599. And farmland ID 53 for $51,840. Now, there may be others here around the map that I really didn't identify. So go ahead and explore the map and see if you can find the others. And if so, let me know down in the comments below. Now, this map is making use of a custom precision farming soil map. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like once it's been applied to all these fields. You see we have a decent swath of sandy loam kind of coming across the entirety of the center of the map and surrounded by loam. A little bit of loamy sand there as well. And I'm really not seeing any silty clay on the map at all, other than this little bit down here, which was hidden behind the EV score. Now, as far as our crop counter goes, we do have a standard FS25 crop counter available to us on Backroads County 4X. We do start out with some cows. We have 50 6-month-old cows at our main starting farm. We do have contracts available on this particular map, and this map also does not include any production. So if you do want to get into production, you will be needing to place that down at one of those various areas that I talked about earlier. That would be possibly farm buildings or production areas. With respect to our sell points, I counted up 4 to 5 sell points. Not a whole lot of sell points, given that this is a 4X map. So you're going to be driving probably a fair good ways across the map to sell your goods. We do have a train sell point, but it has one area where you can load your crop onto the train. With respect to our hand tools, we do not have any hand tools, and we also do not have any collectibles on this map. Now, with respect to our starting fleet, if you select to own the starting farm, then you do own machinery and you do have a starting farm. Should you choose to not own the starting farm at the start, the starting area is going to be empty. It's not going to include any buildings. It's also not going to include any machinery. So, owning the farm, we have the Puma 260 CVX drive medium tractor. We have our Transtar International semi, as well as the Magnum 400 power drive and the Massey Ferguson 9S 425 large tractors. We have a pair of front loader arms and the pallet fork. We have the Brantner TR 34090T PT Plus trailer. We also have the Distinction triple hopper semi trailer. We have our Ultima 800 seeder, as well as our Breedal K 105 lime and fertilized spreader. We have the Case IH Axle Flow 7150 harvester. That's paired up with a 28-foot rain header. Pretty small header for that harvester, but okay. We've got our Case RB 456 HD Pro round baler. And then we have the Silo King Trailed Line 4 System 1000 Plus TMR mixer. A very, very big TMR mixer indeed. Now, as far as mods and DLCs, this map does not include any built in. Now, here at our vehicle shop, I do want to point out that we do not have a icon that is telling you where you can come to buy your machinery, but it's right here at these double doors. So let's go ahead and pick something up. Spawn point for our vehicles is going to be down here. Very large spawn point for your machinery on this particular map. And along the same side of the building, we do have our dealer trigger. Now I'm going to go ahead and do something that I typically do not do. And that would be, we're going to actually drive over to our starting farm location. Now this map isn't completely flat, but it is fairly flat. So you shouldn't have too much issue with respect to using your tractors and your farm machinery, even if that tractor is maybe a little undersized based on the machinery's horsepower rating. In order to get to our starting farm, we're going to need to hang a right outside the vehicle shop. We have a very large entry there, so we shouldn't have any issue in transporting some of the largest machinery out of the dealer. And our starting farm is going to be just on the other side of that tree line. believe there's also a sell point over in that general direction. Now, as far as performance goes on a lower end system, I was a little surprised at the performance that I didn't get on this particular map when I loaded it up on my test system, which is using AMD integrated graphics. So pretty much anything with a discrete graphics card is going to be more performant than my test system. But at any rate, on my test system, I saw frames anywhere in the 20s to 40s. Now, I recommend for really low-end systems to use a modified medium graphics setting, and that modified medium graphics setting includes FSR frame gen. So, even though we were seeing frames in the 20s, to your eye, we're talking about mid to upper 40s. And even though we were seeing frames in the 40s, to our eye, we are seeing frame rates in the 80s. So, as long as you're kind of out in the open, frame rates are going to be really good. But if you get down kind of towards the animal dealer, that's where I was finding the lowest frame rates, down by the animal dealer and the train depot. So we made it over here to our starting farm. We do have our farmhouse, our wardrobe, and our sleep triggers. We have a large open shed, or multiple large open sheds. Some more machinery sheds. We have our cows. And with respect to our cows, we have our cow delivery point right here. We're going to be able to store 267 cows in this area. We have our slurry point. We have our milk trigger there. Then we have our feed and our straw triggers inside the barn here. So we're going to find our large TMR mixer. And then this particular shed is going to be set up for bale and pallet storage. Specifically, we're going to be able to hold 250 bales in this particular shed. Now, I want to check something because I didn't actually check this earlier. Can we sell this stuff? And it does indeed look like we can. So we have solid fertilizer storage here. And we have seed or mineral feed storage there. So we're going to go ahead and declare that it does look like we can pretty much sell everything at this particular farm. I would have to sell the cows in order to sell this, but it does look like we will be able to sell that as well. So all is good with respect to if we want to completely change out our starting farm, we do have that capability. Now with respect to ground textures, very, very basic ground textures here. We have all of our standard trees and all of our standard plants. Now at this point, let's go ahead and get a little bit of altitude so we can kind of fly around the map and see where things are. We'll pull up the PDA just to get a little bit of a frame of reference as to where we are. So here we are at our starting farm. Big field 69 just north of that. One of our grain sell points is going to be located right here beside the starting farm location. We have our dump point right there. We do have a ramp here as well So we could use this ramp to load onto a train. And the train sell point is, of course, going to be at the map border here to the north, as well as at the map border to the east. We continue to make our way across the northern part of the map here. We're going to find lots of decent-sized fields here to the north. The smallest fields are going to be to the interior of the map because, again, that's going to be representing the original standard-size map that this is a 4X variant of. Just south of Field 80, we do have a fuel point. And I kind of wished that this was also a general sell point, maybe for palletized goods, maybe your eggs, your greenhouse goods and things. But sadly, it's simply here for fuel. If we make our way down the eastern side of the map, we come across a couple of these possible farm locations. This area was a farm on the original map. Then we have farmland ID 95. I believe I identified this as one possible building site. Continue to make our way south. We're going to come over here to our sawmill area. So we have our log sell point. We have our wood sell trigger there. And that's it. This map doesn't have production. So we don't really need to be looking around for our sawmill production because it doesn't exist. Kind of wish it did, but it doesn't. If we make our way to the south, we're going to have farmland ID 100 that we already mentioned as a nice buildable site to maybe build out an industrial yard or out a large industrial farm. This is where my frames were hampered the most with respect to my lower end system. And we have our animal dealer. So on this side, we have our buy trigger for our animals. And of course, we have our manure and slurry purchase point. This is going to be our train transfer silo. So we can come here with a trailer and dump product into our silo. We can bring product out of this silo here onto a trailer, or we can fill a train from this location, and our rent train icon should be right around the corner, and right there it is. We do have a bulk lime buy point here as well. You'll find this area is all forest, but you'll see that's lots of small buyable plots. So very affordable. You can buy one or more of these plots and kind of clear the trees away and get a little bit of money by selling them at the sawmill. We'll make our way back kind of into the interior of the map. We want to come over here to farmland ID 18, another potential building site. And now at this point, we're kind of traversing what was the original map. Although I do feel that this has been smoothed out quite a bit. I do recall the original map being a bit hillier than what I'm seeing here. We've got another buildable site here that we mentioned earlier, farmland ID 122. This is where we had the dual farmland ID 121 and 44. Like I said, it looks like one buildable site, but farmland ID 122 is this field to the left. Farmland 44 is this field to the right. And it basically splits that area right down the middle. We have another buildable site located right here. And farmland ID 51 right across the street is a nice forested area. We continue to make our way down the southern part of the map. We're going to come over to another area where we do have a sell point. And in my opinion, another missed opportunity. I really wished that this was a renovatable space. That we could renovate this, but it is decoration and decoration only, as far as I could tell, because it didn't appear that there were any triggers at this area. But I kind of wish that there was, because it'd be nice to be able to restore this and make it into a grain elevator, or simply have it as the buildable or restorable museum. Here we have a sell point around the back for general goods. And then we have another fuel point here in the south. And then on the original map, this had a lot of production and a lot of sell points. But now we have a big open area right beside our gas station, Farmland ID 39. And then we have several areas here that are smaller plots that are in forest that, of course, we could buy and clear out. And that, folks, is pretty much Backroads County 4X for Farming Simulator 25. I'd love to know what your all's thoughts are down in the comments below with respect to this particular 4X map. Did you play this 4X map in 22? How does it compare to the 25 version? I don't recall anything really about the Backroads County 4X map in 22. Don't even remember if I did a video on it. I probably did, but it was probably quite a long time ago. But I would like to hear your all's thoughts, again, down in the comments below. Till next time, happy farming.